Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. It's actually midnight, so good morning. We're live tonight, and we welcome you. We have a lot to get into. We'll talk about the Pirates. We'll talk about the NFL. A lot of the players don't want OTAs. The league does. We'll get into that, but the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be the trade deadline. The Penguins, who are real hot right now, and they just made a trade. And here to discuss it is your panel. We have Josh Yohe, who does great work covering the Penguins with The Athletic. Also, Will Graves from the Associated Press, Jeff Hathnorn at 93.7 The Fan. So, we heard tonight that Jeff Carter, 36-year-old veteran winger or center, will be coming to Pittsburgh in exchange. Again, reportedly, Rob Rossi of The Athletic has said it could be draft picks. Josh, I know you're working this story, so we're going to start right with you on this one. This looks like a deal that you would expect, I guess, from a Hextall Burke, a bigger guy, but his shooting percentage is not what it once was, and he's known as a guy who can score goals. What do they expect from him, and who picks up the salary because he has a year left after this?
Well, yeah, Bob, and I should tell everyone this trade has not been completed in terms of the NHL saying the deal is official. The teams have agreed upon the trade. The salary is being retained by the Los Angeles Kings, and often when that happens, it takes a little bit longer for the league to approve everything, which I suspect is what is happening. Jeff Carter can still skate. He's a big right-handed guy who can play center or wing. He obviously has a lot of championship experience. He's not the player he was 5 or 10 years ago. The hands, I don't think, are what they once were. But will he be one of their 12 best forwards? Absolutely. Does he make them deeper at center potentially if they choose to use him there? Yeah, he does. And remember, he has a relationship with Ron Hextall. Hextall was the assistant GM in Los Angeles when the Kings were in their Stanley Cup years. Jeff Carter played a big role in that, of course. So they do know each other. There's a relationship there. I think he can still play a little bit. The only issue with him, Bob, he makes $5.2 million a year. Right. So let's see how much money the Kings were willing to retain.
Well, Josh, I mean, that's what you're talking about. You say he can still play a little bit. I mean, for $5.2 million, I want more than a little bit of production. And let's be honest, he was drafted a year before Ben Roethlisberger got drafted. He's been playing hockey a long time. I just wonder, look, the pedigree is great. He's a big dude. But how is he at $5.2 million like okay and not keeping like Patrick Hornqvist last year at $4 million not okay? Like, that's the part that I don't get. I know this is a different regime, but it just, I mean, it seems sort of like, hey, we need to make a move, so let's make a move. I'm not doing cartwheels over this one.
Listen, I get it. They wanted a veteran. Is he better than Mark Jankowski? Yes, I think he is. I mean, he had 2 points in his last game. He actually scored the first goal of the Kings season. He can play some left wing. He's a guy with versatility. He's won a couple of cups before. So he knows what the playoffs are all about. The salary is an issue for next year because the $5.2 million, almost $5.3, will likely be picked up by the Pens. But if this team sees a crack, they see an opportunity this year with this core of aging guys, I don't mind this trade. I really at first didn't want any trades because of the way these bottom 6 forwards were playing. But if you can add a guy like Jeff Carter, he can give you something in the postseason. And as Josh said, he can still skate. It seems like a pretty good ad when you have an opportunity to go for it.
Josh, this is one of those things we've been debating, the fine line that Ron Hextall is trying to skate here. In other words, a lot of people think he should be all in. Others say he wants to build by bringing in more picks, acquiring, prospects, whatever. This goes against that if it's 2 conditional draft picks. What 2 conditional draft picks would they be?
Well, I certainly don't expect them to be a first or second round pick going back to Los Angeles. We don't have the official word yet. I would expect to be more in the 3rd or 4th round variety, which is not as big of a deal. Remember, NHL draft picks, 3rd and 4th round picks are not like the NFL. In the NHL, those guys have maybe a 50-50 chance of ever even making it to the league. So we have to consider that. And going back to what Will said, if you have to pay him $5 million right now per season, it doesn't look like a good deal. And he does have 1 more year left on his deal, by the way. And there has been some speculation in LA that he was planning on retiring after this season. So that could change things as well. But assuming the Kings retain 30% of his deal, maybe more than that, to pay him $3 million a year to be a 3rd or 4th center, given the situation the Penguins are in the last couple of years with the Crosby-Malkin window, I don't have a problem with it. This was a bad LA team he played for, and he's still on pace for a 20-goal season with not a lot of help around him. So I can see the intrigue from the Penguins standpoint.
I don't know. Does he, is he Matt Cullen 2.0 here, Josh? I mean, is he the old guy that comes in and is the glue? I mean, that's a,
or Patrick Marleau 2.0. Who knows?
Right. I mean, it seems like it's been spotty getting those old guys late for these. When I think of 16 and 17, I think of young guys. I think of fast guys. Yes, Trevor Daley was important, but I think of guys, like Sherry, and I think of guys like Jake, and I don't think of 36-year-old guys charging down the middle who we're wondering how much gas is left in the tank. So I don't consider this an inspired move by any stretch. However, I do think it does maybe help them in a weird way, at least in the East, in their division, in the first 2 rounds. It does probably help them more than it hurts.
Well, I see your point, but I think that this is a guy that's okay being a third or fourth liner. This isn't a guy that you're trying to squeeze up that's late in their 30s that's going to play a first or second line or play with Crosby or play with Malkin. This is a guy that's going to be bottom line. It seems like he knows his role. From what I've been reading, he's a good locker room guy. He's going to get along well, and whatever they give him or have him do, he's going to accept because, hey, he goes from a bad Kings team for a chance to win the Cup. I don't think it's a bad roll of the dice. Next year, we'll see what they have to do to either keep him and whatever they're going to need to do, but the salary cap should go up next season.
Poor Colton Sevier. He scores a goal, he gets waived, he comes back, he scores 2 more goals, and he may not likely play again the way things are going. Who knows? Josh, I want to ask you now, tomorrow the deadline is 3. You guys go around the horn before we take a break because I have another hockey topic coming up, but are the Penguins likely to do anything else if this is the trade that we expect it to be? Carter for a couple of conditional picks.
Presuming this deal does go through, and I think that it will, I would think it's probably pretty unlikely that you will see Hextall do anything else. They may add a depth forward if they can get one really on the cheap. That's possible, but I would not expect anything substantial. They only have so much to give up. We know that. And I think if Hextall gets his man in Carter, I wouldn't expect a whole lot else. Because remember, Bob, you've got Malkin, Kapanen, and Tanev all coming back in the next few weeks. Yep. The Penguins should get quite a lift from them.
I agree. I don't know how much money they even would have left. Depending on how much LA picks up, I think it's, they look good. That's the thing. As Josh just pointed out, they're playing, and Bob, you do too. They're playing so well right now. It's so hard to adapt to that chemistry. I think tinkering with it anymore by bringing in more than one guy is playing with fire.
Good point.
Yeah, I don't think they have the money to, but I will say this. There is a new number 7 in black and gold, and it's Colton Sevier. Forget about the other guy who's number 7. There is a new number 7 that is the attention of Pittsburgh fans, and it's Colton Sevier.
Yeah, he is. And he's getting disrespected out there. When we come back, we're going to talk about a number 4 here. And that's because reportedly there's a trade now involving the Boston Bruins. You figured they would have to do something. They become sort of like a one-line team. Taylor Hall reportedly headed to the Boston Bruins. We're going to talk about that when we come back and how it impacts the rest of the East, which is an interesting division as they go down the stretch. Also, how important is home ice for the Penguins, who've done so well. We'll continue the conversation, and then later we get into some Pirate talk and some Steeler talk. It's all live right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown.